Hello and thanks for joining us. This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon of First Our Top Stories. Dangote versus NUPENG union insists on strike and meets federal government today to trash out issues. Federal government is responding, says PETRAN, on proposed nationwide strike. FCT resident doctors commence 7-day warning strike. On international news, shooting in occupied East Jerusalem kills 6, Israeli authorities says. And in sports, Alcaraz beat Sinas to win US Open and reclaim number one spot. Those are our top stories. Details coming up in just a moment. We begin the world news today with stories that the Nigerian Union of Petrol and Natural Gas Workers declared that it will still embark on strike beginning from today, despite the intervention of the federal government to address the grievances of the union. NUPENG President Williams Akoreha confirmed that the federal government had reached out to the union on the need to avert the strike. He, however, insisted that the industrial action will go ahead pending the outcome of the meeting with the government. The union on Friday had announced that it will begin an industrial action on September 8, 2025, a development that could lead to fuel scarcity. Its decision stemmed from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery's plan to import 4,000 compressed natural gas powered trucks to direct fuel distribution to retailers. Although the scheme earlier scheduled to begin August 8 was delayed by logistics challenges in China, the refinery said it will kick off once a substantial number of trucks arrive. But in a statement jointly signed by Okwereha and the General Secretary Afolabi Olawale, NUPENG accused the Dangote refinery of anti-labor practices that threaten the livelihoods of members of its petroleum tanker drivers branch. The union lamented that the refinery's owner, Aliko Dangote, had insisted that new drivers for the imported trucks would not be allowed to join any union. It described the decision as an affront to freedom of association guaranteed under the 1999 Constitution and a breach of international labor conventions, to which Nigeria is a signatory. Meanwhile, the Petroleum Producers Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, PETRAN, has said that the federal government has begun engaging its members to resolve the issues surrounding its proposed nationwide strike. National President of the association, Billy Hillis-Harris, gave the update when he appeared as a guest on the television today. Hillis-Harris listed that issues that led to the strike declaration as primarily the alleged monopoly on the part of Dangote Refinery. He, however, said stakeholders in the downstream sector are being engaged by the government to resolve the lingering issues. The update comes as the associations announced plans to suspend the lifting and dispensing of the petroleum product for 3 days beginning on Tuesday, September 9, 2025. According to a statement by its National Public Relations Officer Joseph Obele, the association said the action will be effective at midnight on Tuesday if the consultations expected to be held from Sunday through Monday failed. It said the 3-day shutdown was aimed at addressing monopolistic practices in the petroleum downstream sector and safeguarding workers' rights. The Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, also confirmed plans to begin a nationwide strike on Monday, September 8, 2025, accusing Dangote Refinery management of allegedly fostering exploitative labor practices reminiscent of late modern-day slavery. This was contained in a statement on Sunday signed by NUPENG's President Williams Akoreha and General Secretary Afolabi Olufemi. The union had earlier announced a strike last Friday, citing alleged anti-labor practices by the refinery. The Association of Resident Doctors, Federal Capital Territory (ARDFCT) has commenced its 7-day warning strike. ARDFCT President Dr. George Ebong made the announcement in Abuja, saying the decision followed resolutions reached at the end of its emergency general meeting held on Friday, September 5. He said the decision is hinged on the attitude of the FCT administration despite rounds of extensive dialogues in addressing persistent and unresolved issues affecting the association. Some of the issues raised by the association include lack of manpower, the psychological impact of long working hours on doctors, which has resulted in the death of a doctor recently in Port Harcourt, unpaid salaries, and unexplained deductions. He stated that there has not been any employment since 2011. The resident doctors described the FCT health system as a long-standing systemic failure requiring comprehensive and immediate reform. Ebong stressed that doctors in the FCT were under immense pressure, frequently uncovering multiple departments. He called on the federal government to urgently address rising challenges in the health sector, warning that continued neglect could cause systemic collapse. Other demands include the poor working conditions, particularly the emergency and consulting rooms, and cited a case where a nurse was killed by a snake bite in the Abaji General Hospital. He said the FCT Minister Wike has been notified severally of the issues affecting doctors but has allegedly turned a blind eye. He called on the FCT administration to declare a state of emergency on the 14 districts and general hospitals in the FCT, adding that the 7-day warning strike will be uninterrupted. He warned that if after 7 days the issues raised are not resolved, the doctors will embark on an indefinite strike. Ebong further advised that decision-making must include frontline health professionals. To underscore the urgency, the association gave the FCT minister and administration a 1-week deadline to begin meaningful reforms, especially in staffing, on staffing and welfare, warning of a 1-week warning strike if unmet. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who represents Kogi Central, will return to the National Assembly later this month after completing a 6-month suspension, a lawyer has confirmed. Speaking on an interview, her counsel, Victor Giwa, disclosed that the senator was on a vacation in London but has already made plans to resume plenary alongside her colleagues when the Senate reconvenes on September 23. The lawyer added that the Senate leadership was not expected to obstruct her return. Quote, "We must have been told that even the leadership of the Senate is ready to welcome her. So that's the situation at the moment. There is no obstacle at all," he observed. Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended on March 6 following allegations of insubordination after she rejected a charge of designated seat during plenary. Rejected a change of a designated seat during plenary. The suspension, based on recommendations of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, also stripped her of aides, office privileges and salaries. The lawmaker had consistently argued that the ordeal was linked to a petition accusing Senate President Godswill Akpabio of sexual harassment, a claim the Senate dismissed. She later challenged her suspension in court, securing a judgment she said favored her recall. However, the Senate leadership maintained that she would remain suspended until the 6-month penalty elapsed. Her attempt to force her way back to the National Assembly in July ended in a standoff. Her security operatives barred her entry despite a crowd of supporters rallying outside. With the expiration of the suspension last Saturday, her lawyer maintained that pending legal dispute would not hinder her return. Efforts to get the reaction of Senate leadership were unsuccessful. Have caused messages to Senate, a spokesman, and Akpabio's media aide were not answered. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERAP) has called on President Bola Tinubu to order the State Security Services (DSS) to withdraw threat to ban social media platform X over comments made by activist Omoyele Sowore. The DSS had reportedly implied that it could move against X after Sowore posted a Twitter. SERAP warned that such action would amount to collective punishment and would severely restrict citizens' freedom of expression and access to information. Citing a ruling by the ECOWAS Court of Justice which recognized access to Twitter as a fundamental human right, SERAP said Nigerian authorities were legally obliged to respect constitutional and international guarantees of free expression. Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, Article 9 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights all protect freedom of expression, the group noted. SERAP said the DSS should stop pressuring X to censor online content in violation of privacy, freedom of expression, media freedom, and access to information. The Lagos State government has announced that it will hold a series of stakeholders consultative fora across 85 divisions to gather resident input for the preparation of the 2026 budget. According to the government, the exercise is aimed at involving citizens in shaping developmental priorities and strengthening evidence-based planning in the state. The Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Okwe George, said the fora would provide Lagosians the opportunity to express their views on projects and their policies that directly affect their communities. The session will bring together representatives from community development associations, traditional institutions, professional and religious groups, civil society, non-governmental and trade organizations, youth group, and persons with disabilities alongside members of the public. The meetings will be held across the divisions of Lagos as follows: Ikeja Division on Tuesday, September 9 at the Multipurpose Hall, Radio Lagos, Agidingbi, Lagos Division. Wednesday, September 10 at Echo Club Surulere. Ikorodu Division, Thursday, September 11 at Ikorodu Town Hall, Ekpe Division. Friday, September 12 at Jubidi, Charlotte Ekpe, and Badagry Division, Tuesday, September 16 at Makonjuola Auditorium, Lagos State University, Ojo. All sessions are scheduled to start at 10 a.m. And for a quick look at what's happening in international news, 6 people have been killed in a shooting attack in occupied East Jerusalem. Israeli authorities have said as Israeli military punishing assaults on besieged Gaza rages. Paramedics said at least 12 other people were injured in the Monday morning attack, with 6 in serious condition with gunshot wounds following the shooting at Ramot Junction. Israel's paramedic service, Magon David Andon. Several others were lightly injured by glass and treated at the scene, Megan Davis Adams said. Israeli police described the shooting as a suspected terror attack. Police said 2 attackers were neutralized soon after the shooting began. A security officer and a civilian shot and killed the perpetrators of attack that killed 5 people in occupied East Jerusalem, Israeli police confirmed. The police said that the perpetrators arrived in a vehicle and opened fire at bus station. Israeli forces have closed all checkpoints between occupied East Jerusalem and the West Bank following an attack that killed 5 people in the occupied East Jerusalem. Meanwhile, after police said that the perpetrators had come from the occupied West Bank, Israeli Army Radio has reported that Israeli forces imposed a military cordon on 4 Palestinian villages in the Jerusalem governorate of the territory, Katana, Bidu, Beit Inan, and Beit Bugu, and it conducted its raids. The Israeli military said it has reinforced its forces in the wider Jerusalem area and was conducting a wide-ranging search for what it described as accomplices of the perpetrators of the shooting. Still on international news, 4 million people have been affected by devastating floods in Pakistan, and thousands of farmers across the border in India are also experiencing the loss of their crops, as experts say global warming has worsened the scale of the monsoon rains both nations are now suffering. Over the past weeks, heavy rains swelled 3 rivers and run through Punjab, Pakistan's most populous province, causing widespread devastation in the country's agricultural heartland. During the rescue effort, a boat carrying people to safety in eastern Pakistan flipped on Saturday when it struck an underwater object, killing a 70-year-old woman, 4 children, authorities confirmed. And on our sports news, Carlos Alcaraz beat Yannick Sinner in 4 sets to win US Open as loud boos mixed with a smothering of cheers greeted President Donald Trump at the final in New York. The 22-year-old Alcaraz won 6-2, 3-6, 6-1, 6-4 to capture the second US Open crown and 6th Grand Slam title, avenging his lone defeat in the major final by Sinner at Wimbledon in July. Alcaraz will claim the world #1 ranking from Sinner, returning to top spot for the first time since September 2023 after ending the Italian's 27-match winning run of hard-court Grand Slams. The men's final was delayed by half an hour because of extra security measures put in place due to US President Donald Trump's presence. Alcaraz has now won 6 Grand Slam titles, making him the second youngest man behind Bjorn Borg to reach this tally. Andre Onana's troubling spell at Manchester United looks set to end after the goalkeeper reportedly agreed to join Turkish side Trabzonspor on loan. The Super League club will cover his full salary while also offering bonuses that could see him nearly double the wages he earned at Old Trafford. The agreement does not include a transfer fee or an option for Trabzonspor to make the move permanent. The Cameroon international signed from Inter Milan in 2023 for £48 million, arrived with high expectations but endured a nightmare period in goal marked by a string of costly mistakes. The struggles eventually saw him dropped from Ruben Amorim's plans, leaving him with no suitors for a permanent transfer. And that's the news, but before we go, let's take a look at the headlines again. Dangote and NUPENG on a war path with union insisting on strike while meeting federal government today to finalize the deals. The federal government is responding, says PETRAN, on proposed nationwide strike. FCT resident doctors commence 7-day warning strike. On international news, shooting in occupied East Jerusalem kills 6, Israeli authorities say. And in sports, Alcaraz beat Sinner to win US Open and reclaim world #1 ranking. And that's the news. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. I am Solomon of Good afternoon and thank you for listening.